May 2017. Dozens of hospitals across the UK grind to a halt. Computer screens flash a chilling message. All files encrypted. Pay a ransom or lose everything. Surgeries are canceled, ambulances diverted. Nurses and doctors watch helplessly as a virus paralyzes their life-saving work. And here's the kicker. That virus was built by the most powerful intelligence agency on the planet. The NSA's own cyber weapon has just been turned against the world. How did America's top spy agency lose control of its own weapons? And who turned the hunter into the hunted? NSA headquarters in Fort Meade, Maryland, home to the agency's elite hacking units. Inside a high-security division called Tailored Access Operations, TAO, the National Security Agency has built an arsenal of cyber weapons unlike any other. This elite hacking team, known in whispers as the Equation Group, is so advanced that it's been linked to world-changing cyber attacks like Stuxnet, the virus that sabotaged Iran's nuclear program. Their toolkit is as fearsome as it is secret. Custom malware, zero-day exploits that attack undisclosed software flaws, and clandestine programs with sci-fi codenames like Epic Banana and Buzz Direction. These tools are powerful enough to crash power grids or silently siphon secrets from a terrorist's computer. For years, the NSA believed its arsenal was safe behind layers of secrecy. They were the hunters, never the hunted. To the NSA's hackers, these programs are the crown jewels, the keys to the kingdom, as one former operator put it. With them, the NSA can pry open almost any target, and they guard these secrets fiercely, locking them down under layers of encryption and high-security clearance. At least, that's what they thought. But in the summer of 2016, something feels off. Imagine being an NSA operator and catching wind of a strange rumor online, whispers that someone somewhere has breached the Equation Group. It seems absurd. Who would dare try to rob the world's best hackers? August 2016. Out of nowhere, an online message appears, written in bizarre, broken English and hacker slang. The authors call themselves the Shadow Brokers. They claim they've hacked the NSA's Equation Group and offer proof, a sample of stolen files. We find cyber weapons made by creators of Stuxnet. We hack Equation Group. We find many Equation Group cyber weapons, the Shadow Brokers proclaim. To prove they're serious, they release a free teaser, a 300 megabyte cache of NSA hacking tools, then announce an auction for the rest. Price of entry, 1 million Bitcoin, roughly $580 million. It sounds absurd, like a prank or an obvious scam. At first, many experts are skeptical. Could someone really have hacked the NSA? But as analysts dig into the leaked code, jaws drop. The code carries unmistakable fingerprints, a secret 16-character string linking it to the NSA. In fact, an internal classification tag in the malware matches one from secret NSA documents leaked by Edward Snowden years before. This is real. The NSA's worst nightmare is unfolding in plain sight. Their secret arsenal has been raided. Overnight, the Shadow Brokers transform from a fringe curiosity into a nightmare for U.S. intelligence. The NSA's hacker arsenal is dangling out in the open, up for sale to whoever bids the highest. Governments and tech companies scramble. Firewall vendors rush out emergency patches. Websites hosting the auction are taken down. Publicly, the NSA says nothing. They never comment on leaks like this. But behind closed doors, an emergency damage assessment kicks off. They need to know how much was stolen and how. Was there a traitor inside? Did Russian or Chinese spies somehow breach an NSA server? Every possibility is terrifying. Meanwhile, the Shadow Brokers taunt them from afar. The Equation Group not know what lost. One message jeers in its broken dialect, implying the NSA might not even realize which tools have been taken. Despite all the buzz, the million Bitcoin auction is a flop. No bidder comes forward with that kind of money for mystery files. Then the brokers shift tactics. They beg for crowdfunding, asking 10,000 BTC to dump the rest. They collect only a pittance. It seems their big payday might slip away. But rather than backing off, the Shadow Brokers get more aggressive. By the end of 2016, they're regularly posting more stolen data, lists of servers hacked by the NSA, more code names of exploits, dribbling out proof that they're still in control. And all along they taunt the NSA with each leak. For America's spy agency, it's beyond humbling. It's terrifying. And the worst was yet to come. As the shadow brokers dump secrets online, the NSA desperately hunts for the traitor or hacker behind the breach. Just days after the first leak, FBI agents storm a quiet home in Maryland. They arrest Harold Martin, an NSA contractor, and discover he's been hoarding an astonishing 50 terabytes of classified data in his house. For a moment, officials hope the shadow brokers have been caught, but that hope evaporates quickly. Even with Martin behind bars, the shadow brokers continue posting cryptic messages and leaks. It looks like Martin may not be the mastermind after all, or at least he wasn't acting alone. The real identity of the shadow brokers remains as murky as ever. By early 2017, after months of sporadic leaks, the shadow brokers suddenly go silent. In January, they announce they're retiring, but not before releasing one last trove of Windows hacking tools as a parting shot. For a few weeks, there's an eerie quiet. Maybe the storm has passed. Maybe the shadow brokers really are gone. Then, on April 14th, 2017, they roar back to life. Without warning, a password appears on the shadow brokers' blog that unlocks an encrypted file they had teased months earlier. Inside is a motherlode of NSA hacking exploits. No auction, no ransom, just a data dump of cyber weapons scattered onto the internet like a box of secrets tipped out on the floor. In an instant, every hacker on the planet gains access to the NSA's most potent remaining weapons. Tools with ominous names, Dark Pulsar, Eternal Romance, and the now infamous Eternal Blue, are now available to cybercriminals, hostile nations, anyone with an internet connection. The trove also reveals some of the NSA's global targets. One leaked file shows the agency had infiltrated the SWIFT banking network, spying on financial transactions. Another contains tools for compromising Linux servers. The breadth of the leak is mind-boggling. It's as if a magician's entire bag of tricks has been spilled for everyone to see. And the shadow brokers aren't done. In posts laced with cynical humor and political rants, they continue to mock the US government. At one point, they even offer a monthly subscription service, claiming they'll release more stolen NSA exploits on a regular basis to subscribers. It sounds like a dark parody, a stolen cyber weapon membership club. The audacity is unprecedented. Never before has a superpower's hacking arsenal been laid out in the open like this. Now every hacker on Earth now had access to the NSA's darkest tools. The stage is set for chaos, and chaos is exactly what comes next. It didn't take long for those leaked cyber weapons to draw blood. Exactly 1 month after the shadow brokers' April dump, on May 12, 2017, a massive ransomware attack explodes across the globe. This was WannaCry, a malicious worm that raced through networks, encrypting every file in its path. Within days, over 200,000 computers in more than 150 countries were devastated. But the numbers only told part of the story. In the UK, hospitals were hit especially hard. Some cancer patients missed chemotherapy. In Spain, telecom giant Telefonica was crippled. FedEx in the US was knocked offline. In many of these cases, staff didn't even know how to operate without digital systems. Entire departments had to relearn how to use paper records overnight. Delays cost lives. Not always immediately, but over weeks of disruption. And because the attackers asked for Bitcoin, many institutions couldn't even legally pay the ransom. So they were stuck, trapped by a weapon made by an ally and unleashed by an enemy they didn't even know. WannaCry wasn't just a hack. It was a global paralysis event, one that showed just how fragile modern infrastructure had become, and how quickly that fragility could be exploited. At the heart of WannaCry was a piece of code called Eternal Blue. If that sounds familiar, it should. Eternal Blue was one of the NSA's stolen exploits. Originally a top-secret tool to break into computers, now it was being used to hold computers hostage for ransom. Security analysts soon traced WannaCry to hackers linked to North Korea, effectively turning an American weapon against American allies. But the pain was only beginning. In June 2017, an even more destructive cyber plague struck. Nicknamed NotPetya, this malware pretended to be ransomware, but was purely destructive. It first tore through computer networks in Ukraine, banks, government offices, energy companies, and then it spilled out to the rest of the world. Global corporations were brought to their knees. Shipping giant Maersk had to reinstall software on every infected machine, halting its ports. Pharmaceutical company Merck lost production for weeks. FedEx's European is knocked offline, costing the company $400 million in losses. The White House later estimated NotPetya caused over $10 billion in damage, the most costly cyber attack in history. And like a cruel joke, NotPetya also leveraged the NSA's Eternal Blue to spread its devastation. In the space of weeks, the NSA's secret arsenal had been turned into a public menace. Allies of the US suffered. Ordinary people suffered. The very tools built to give the NSA an edge were now a sword swinging back at its own side. Critics argued that if the NSA had disclosed the Windows vulnerability when they found it, instead of weaponizing it, WannaCry might never have happened. The NSA's horde of exploits, once an asset, had become a liability of historic proportions. And through it all, the shadow brokers were nowhere to be found. They unleashed the virus. Then they disappeared. The world was left burning, and the architects were gone. But one mystery still lingered. Who were they? And why did they do it? So who were the shadow brokers? And how did they pull off this brazen heist? The NSA, an agency used to tracking others, now finds itself in the uncomfortable position of investigating a theft of its own crown jewels. Was it a turncoat insider who smuggled out the tools on a thumb drive, Edward Snowden style? Or did a foreign spy service hack into an NSA server and quietly siphon off the exploits? Every theory reads like a spy thriller, and none have been conclusively proven. Some evidence points to Russia. In fact, Edward Snowden himself speculated in real time that the breach looked like a Russian operation. He suggested that perhaps Russian intelligence hacked an NSA malware staging server, basically one of the cloud servers where NSA hackers secretly park their tools during operations. If true, it means Russian spies might have been lying in wait, secretly recording the NSA's hacking routine and snatching the tools midstream. It's a truly chilling scenario. America's best hackers outplayed on their own covert turf, and it's plausible. The tactics line up with how state-sponsored hackers operate. However, other experts argue that if Russia had pulled this off, they likely wouldn't have drawn attention to it with public leaks. An intelligence agency might quietly harvest an enemy's weapons for its own use, rather than tip off the world. So the Kremlin theory, while tantalizing, isn't a slam dunk. Another theory looks inward, an insider threat. Harold Martin wasn't the only NSA contractor who walked out with secrets. He was just the one who got caught. Could others inside the NSA have sold or leaked these tools out of greed or grievance? The shadow broker's odd mix of motivations, first money, then bizarre politics, might hint at a rogue insider with shifting agendas, or perhaps a small group of whistleblowers turned extortionists. Their messages even claimed they voted for Trump and felt betrayed, which is an awfully personal touch for foreign spies. Linguistic analysis of their posts suggested the writers were likely native English speakers, faking a foreign accent. Maybe the culprit was closer to NSA's home than anyone realized, or perhaps it was an unrelated hacker collective or another country entirely. An opportunistic group that stumbled upon an NSA server and decided to cause chaos for fame and profit. In 2017, one former NSA employee admitted frankly, "I don't know if anybody knows other than the Russians. And we don't even know if it's the Russians. We don't know at this point. Anything could be true." To this day, the shadow broker's true identity remains a mystery. They went silent after late 2017, and no arrests have been made. We may never fully learn how they pulled it off. The NSA, for its part, likely implemented sweeping internal changes to ensure such a breach can't happen again, but they'll never broadcast those fixes. In the intelligence world, admitting your weaknesses is the last thing you do. In their wake, the NSA was forced to reckon with a bitter reality, that a cache of cyber weapons, no matter how advanced, is a double-edged sword. If you lose control of it, it can and will be turned against you. The agency that once seemed untouchable had been outplayed by an unknown adversary. The hunter had become the prey. And the real question isn't just how they got in, it's who's next. The Shadow Brokers saga serves as a reminder that no one, not even the NSA, is invincible. An intelligence empire wielding cutting-edge cyber weapons was brought to its knees by a faceless adversary using its own tools. We may never uncover who the Shadow Brokers were or why they did it, but their legacy is a haunting one. In the world of cyber warfare, today's triumph can become tomorrow's threat. And as long as secrets and weapons remain in the shadows, the story isn't truly over.